Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Iggy's Toy Parade and Soldier Review. This is your host, Iggy. For those of you who have subscribed to my channel, I want to thank you for joining the Iggy Army. And make sure you hit the notification bell and get Iggy with it. Okay, guys, I found another box of Star Wars figures, and I was almost positive that I sold all of these at the flea market because I had a very large plastic tub that was filled with red and green card figures. And I didn't know I had these. So this was somewhat of a surprise. I'm somewhat reluctant to bring this to you because I noticed that you guys aren't really interested in Star Wars. Sorry, I was laughing. You guys really aren't into Star Wars. I think the least amount of views any video has gotten in the last year has been Star Wars. It's got like 45 views, and that's, as you know, is not really a whole bunch. Anyway, the name of the channel is Iggy's Toy Parade and Soldier Review. So this time, instead of soldiers, we've got the Toy Parade. And it's kind of weird when you find something in storage that you didn't know you had. And it's a little bit like Christmas because you open the box and you're totally surprised because I was under the impression I sold all these off, like I said, at the flea market. By the way, I got next to nothing for them at the flea market. They were going for like $1. Carded, no, carded ones were going for two, which is 50% off of what I paid, and loose figures were going for $1. So not a great money maker for me. I think a lot of people just are burned out on Star Wars. They made so much that everyone had two, three, four of each figure and kept them in the packaging. So I would think it would be more valuable to get a loose figure because that's more rare than finding one that's carded. But anyway, I have both. My interest in Star Wars initially was Imperial stuff. I just wanted Imperial stuff. And then eventually and slowly, I started picking up other things, and it got a little ridiculous. Um, I've sold off probably 50% of the collection, and there's still quite a bit more to go. But it's interesting. What I like about when you have it in the package is you can see changes over the years. Like, for instance, this figure was introduced in 1995, the red cards. And this one is Han in his Hoth gear outfit. And these cards still show that Kenner is in the picture, but as you know, Hasbro purchased Kenner, and then eventually they phased them out of the picture. I think in 2000 they finally got rid of the Kenner branch and released new figures under the Hasbro moniker. So this would be the earliest one. And then if you check this out, this is Luke also in Hoth gear. And his price at Kmart was $4.99. And then later that year, the packaging changed. And they went to this packaging here, which has this so-called flashback photo. And they were each one has a little gimmick that they were doing. Like this one, for instance, their gimmick at this time was a hologram. Let me see what year this was. Should say on the package. This is 1996. So 3 years later, they came out with this, and it's called the flashback photo. And what you would do is you would pull on this tab here. I don't know if I can do this. Let's see. and it would change to the image of C-3PO from the Phantom Menace. And then you push this back in, and it's this one. And that was their gimmick for this one. But notice this, 3 years later, $5.99. So it went up $1, slight change in packaging, and a new gimmick. Plus they put these on here so the kids could cut them out and put them in a file box. Just something fun for the kids to do. You'll notice here that, oops, look at there, Hasbro is starting to show up. Okay, another thing they started doing, and this is 1996, so sometime in 1996, they dumped the hologram and adopted this, which is a slide. Now, how many people have a slide projector? I mean, that's like 1960s technology. So I'm kind of surprised that they did that. Do you remember that song Freeze Frame by the Jay Giles Band? That was a great song. It made me think of it. This one is Lobot. He looks suspiciously like Captain Picard. Make it so, #1. That's a handy thing to say when you're in the bathroom. And here's Lando in his disco outfit and Lobot with the security guards for Bespin Cloud City. You'll notice here that it still says Kenner. All right, let's take a look at something else here. Let's move these. Here's another slide one, and this is Han Solo. And he has the older style card compared to this one. And they call it the Kenner Collection. They were always looking for an angle to get fans to buy more and more and more. And I fell into that trap where I was trying to buy everything that they came out with to the point where it became insanely ridiculous and expensive. Okay, here's another gimmick they came out with. It's a chip that you'd put into a what they called a ComTech, and they sold that separately. And you would insert the chip, and it would be dialogue from the movie. And so that was another gimmick they came up with to sell figures. This is my favorite of the ones that I have here is Darth Vader with the torture droid. And I remember when I first saw Star Wars, and he comes into where the princess is trying to act all tough, and the droid comes in after him with all these needles sticking out. I think everyone freaks out when they see needles. There's a place in California, I think, that's called Needles. I wonder what goes on there. This is for Lam, one of the bounty hunters from The Empire Strikes Back. And of course it has the collector card on the back there. So let's put these back up here. I'm trying to do this quickly because I know you guys probably are not too keen on this. It's like, man, Iggy, that's pretty nerdy. And here's Luke. Now Luke looks different here than he did in Star Wars, and that's because he took a header into a windshield. He had a car accident and smashed his face into the windshield. So his nose looked differently than it did in Star Wars. And here's another one of those slides, another bounty hunter. Kind of cool looking dude. And then this is the Hoth Rebel laser cannon. And these are pretty cool. I think I bought like 4, 5, or 6 of these. I'm not sure how many of these I have in total. Um, and that shows the back of the card. And this came out in 1996. You can join the official Star Wars fan club, which I did. You know, Iggy would do something like that. Okay, now I want to show you something that really surprised me and baffled me why I did this. But then when I think back on it, I understand why I went ahead and purchased these. Is these collector plates. Like this one is for Star Wars. You know, I noticed that Han Solo looks like Martin Landau in this image here. That's kind of interesting. My favorite characters in Star Wars, they killed them off. Obi-Wan Kenobi, a favorite. And then Grand Moff Tarkin was a favorite character of mine. I like the way he was so calm when he's ordering the destruction of billions of people and an entire planet. He said, "You may fire when ready." Not a very good imitation, but you guys get the idea. That's Star Wars. Now, these plates, I think they were like $75 or something, and you're supposed to be excited because it's a limited edition, but it says limited to 26 firing days. So how many plates could they manufacture in one day? It's probably thousands. So it's not as limited as you would think. I remember my wife, I was married at the time I bought this. It's like, why are you doing this? We've got other things we need to spend our money on. It took 3 payments to pay this off. Or was it 2? Maybe it was 2 of $37.50 or something. Anyway, it was more than I had to spend on such a frivolity as that. Now here's the Empire Strikes Back plate. I noticed they don't have Grand Moff Tarkin in this one, and there's no Boba Fett. That's weird. I would think that he would be a fan favorite to put on a plate. There's Yoda. Oh, your hair smells so good. I want to fondle your muscles. That's weird. Now, this is my favorite thing of Princess Leia. That's kind of obvious. And here's my all-time favorite Star Wars character, the Emperor. So I would say my favorite characters are the Emperor and Grand Moff Tarkin, and also Admiral Piet. And for some reason, even though he was on screen for like a minute in Empire Strikes Back, I like Captain Nita. Now, this is just frightening, this thing over here. Can you imagine going to school and sitting next to something like this? I wonder what he smelled like. Probably smelled like old fish and chips or something. And here's the Lucas attempt to sell toys to the children. Those, I don't want to upset anyone, but they really irritated me. There's no way they could have defeated the Empire with sticks and stones. It's a fantasy of Lucas's. Anyway, here we have a smaller plate. As you can see here, it's a bit smaller than these movie plates. And these are called the Star Wars Space Vehicles Collection. And I think the reason I was buying these, because these predate these figures. These figures came out in 95. And these plates were from 1993, 94. And there just wasn't a whole lot to collect if you were a Star Wars fan. And I remember going into a record shop. It shows how long ago this was. And there was this two cute girls working there. And I had a cassette tape of the soundtrack to Return of the Jedi. And she holds it up to her friend and makes a little snarly Elvis lip and rolls her eyes up. And I thought, what a little snot. I should have said something to the manager, but I didn't want to get involved with that. I just wanted my tape and go. It's no wonder people stop shopping at those places, because have you ever noticed that you go to the bookstore or the record shop, they were all snobs. Like, oh, I read this book when I was in junior high school. And you're like, well, good for you. God, they irritated me. I worked at a bookstore for 4 years, and I can tell you the snobbery was very interesting. I hope I wasn't snobby like that. I try not to be. Okay, so that was the Millennium Falcon. The ride at Disneyland was awesome. My brother got sick on it. He has a little motion sickness problem, but I really enjoyed it. Well, not him getting sick. I enjoyed um, the ride. The wait for it, though, was really insane. Now here's TIE fighters chasing the Millennium Falcon after they picked up Luke. And what irritates me about Star Wars is they never hit anything. I mean, what kind of pilots are these that they outnumber the Millennium? They can't hit anything. The Millennium Falcon is like the size of a barn, and these are like tiny little things in comparison, and they can't hit it. And the stormtroopers, they can't hit anything. And then they have a Death Star that can blow up planets, and they can't do anything with that. I mean, I'm starting to get mad. I better be careful. My blood pressure will go up. Anyway, we got that. I found another plate. This is the last plate that was in the box. And it's of a Star Destroyer. And again, they actually hit something in this case, but they had to fire how many times before they finally disabled it? And then people tell me, well, Iggy, they had shields. Well, the Star Destroyers are always getting blown up. Don't they have shields too? Anyway, I guess there'd be no movie if the Empire actually hit something. If the movie was realistic instead of a fantasy, all these characters would have been dead in the first few minutes of the movie. Okay, guys, this is the entire contents of the box that I dug out of storage. It's kind of fun going in there because I feel like Indiana Jones looking for a golden idol to steal from the temple. The only difference is when I walk down the hallway from where my storage is, I don't have poison darts shooting out of the wall. Okay, I want to thank you for coming along with me to a galaxy far, far away and getting Iggy with it. If you haven't done so, make sure you join the Iggy Army and subscribe to my channel. I'd like to say take care of each other, happy trails, and I'll meet you back at the ranch. Bye, guys.